Welcome, and thanks for joining us for our 6-minute stretch challenge number 10. Today, we will be focusing on emotional self-awareness. For those of you that have joined us in the past, you will be noticing that something extremely important is missing, and that is Sarah. I've decided to try to do this one on my own to give Sarah a break, mostly from me. The reason we decided to use emotional self-awareness this week is because we continue to hear from our clients, individuals that we're talking with, is that they're really struggling with the emotional side of what's happening around them. And it's not just the emotional side, but it's also the energy that's attached to our emotions. So at a high level, what is emotional self-awareness? And that is our ability to use your internal radar to catch what's going on around you and with others from an emotional perspective. It really is about understanding the emotions you're experiencing in the moment, what caused them, the triggers, maybe it's people, situations, events, and it's at the time those emotions happen, and it's also understanding the impact they have on you and others and how it impacts the decisions that we make. For our time together today, it's going to be about the impact that emotions have on your energy level. And if you go back to our bounce back factors, this is one of them, the emotional side of things. So we've chosen to use this graphic, and it's the energy associated with emotions. And this graphic comes from the power of full engagement. And so at the top, you see it says high energy, and at the bottom, it is low energy. To the left, it is negative energy, and to the right, it is positive. So we'll talk about how we could have high energy, and it's also negative. And when we have the negative high, those are emotions that deal with frustration. Maybe we're a bit tense, anxious. We feel that anxiety going on. We might be a bit defensive, fearful, and angry. And there's a host of other ones that we could put in there, but these are ones that I know so many of us are experiencing today. And think about this for a moment. When you experience anger, are we able to let it go right away, or do we hold on to it? And it takes over in our mind, maybe it's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes later that we come out of this anger, and how do you feel? If you're like me and like most people, you are probably exhausted. And if that's not bad enough, we might play that over in our mind, and that drags us down again. So this is what I would call the survival zone. And we do not want to just survive in today's world. We want to thrive. What happens is if we stay in this quadrant too long, we drop down directly below where we have negative energy, and it's low energy. That's where we feel exhausted, maybe depressed. It's a bit defeated. There's a sense of hopelessness. We're sad, and maybe even a sense of helplessness. These are all emotions that are okay. We need to experience them. But what we need to do is figure out what causes them, because we don't want to stay in this quadrant very long. If we stay in here very long, we will possibly get into the burnout zone, and we do not want that to happen. So recognizing the left side is going to happen, but we want to get out of there as quickly as possible, and we want to move to the right side. And the upper right side, where we have high energy and positive energy, and those are things where we feel energized, we're connected, we feel challenged in a very positive way, we're hopeful about what's going on in our world, we feel aligned, and we're passionate. And so we can't stay up there forever as well, because that's a lot of energy out. But what we need to do is say, how do we call on the emotions that allow us to feel these things? And then ultimately, we'll be down in the bottom right where we have positive energy and it is low energy. And that is where we feel a bit carefree. We're more peaceful. We feel relieved. We're mellowed, and we're relaxed and receptive. This is what we call voluntary recovery, voluntary renewal. And right above us, it's the performance zone. This is our recharge zone. And if you go back to our bounce back factors, this is really where we talk about where we are powering up. This is where we want to be. So we've recognized we go through all of these elements within this graphic. The right side is the side we want to be on, and recognize what will allow us to be our best self and manage the energy that is associated with our emotions. Some of the things that you can do, one is be aware of emotions that drain you or exhaust you, and what causes it. In your handout, you're going to get a journal, and it's going to ask you to go through different events. And as you do that, it's going to ask you, what's going on physically? What do you feel? What's happening mentally? What's happening socially in your world as these things happen? Because as we start to recognize the role that emotions play on draining us of our energy, we have a much better chance of pausing and allowing those emotions to lift us up. Also, it's to recognize when you're approaching or are in the burnout zone, and then intentionally call on positive emotions. Burnout is now officially recognized as a medical condition. That's not a good thing. And we need to make sure we do everything we can to stay away from getting burnout. The last thing I'll share with you is to tune into your body. We need to have proper physical care. That is nutrition, sleep, and exercise. In some of our previous 6-minute stretch series, we have topics on those 3 things that can help you. But our biggest goal this week is to say, let's take a step back and understand how emotions are impacting us from an energy perspective. I'll give you more tips in your handout, but these are 3 things that you can do right away that can help you. And so at the end of every one of these stretches, we do say we want you to grow as an individual. What are some of those steps you can take to improve yourself? And of course, we also want you to share it with your team. Our goal, your goal, is to bring other people along with you. And what a great opportunity to do that. So with challenge number 10, as we always say at the end, it's go time. So let's do this. Have a great and blessed week.